If you don't love yourself because of the fact that you know you are not healthy, because you know you are not taking care of yourself, that impacts everyone around you, not just you. So when you get in shape, you begin to love yourself again. And when you love yourself, everybody else gets the best version of you. Yo, what's going on, everyone? Sean Griffin here from Kettlebell Transformation for another episode of the Kettlebell Guys podcast. And I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of fired up today. Today, I want to talk about, hold on, let me check my notes here. Today, I want to talk about the 5 reasons that it's not just for you. And I want to talk about the 3 reasons that guys stay stuck. They make the choice to stay stuck. Now, what I mean by it's not for you. So this came up yesterday on a call that I had with somebody who was interested in joining the Kettlebell Transformation Program. And when he was talking through the investment and whether or not he was going to make it, he made a statement where he said, if I spend this money on me, I'm going to have to make it up to my family. And I stopped him right there and I said, dude, that is the complete wrong way to look at what it would mean to invest into your health and fitness in a way that would provide the type of transformation that guys inside of Kettlebell Transformation get in their lives. Now, this guy had a history of losing weight, gaining it. He had taken GLP-1s, lost a bunch of weight, but hated the way that he looked and felt when he got skinnier, but he didn't actually change any of his habits. He was exercising consistently, but he's not seeing the results that he wants. He was very down on himself in terms of his self-confidence. He did not have the energy that he wanted to put towards being the role model for his kids, being the leader in his family, being at work the way that he wanted to. And what I said to him was, you have to be able to reframe what it would mean to invest into your health. Yes, you are the one who will be doing the work and seeing your own body transform. But does that mean that you taking control of your health, your nutrition, your fitness, transforming your body, does that mean that that's only for you? Well, I think that's a very serious question that every guy needs to be able to wrap their head around if they are not in the physical shape or the health that they want to be in. They have to come to the realization that it is not just them that it is impacting when they are out of shape and overweight and lacking energy and not taking care of themselves. In fact, everyone in your life is being impacted by your choices that you're making every day that are taking you away from the healthiest version of yourself. And so I want to unpack that a little bit and go through 5 reasons why I believe that it's not just for you when you make the decision and take the actions necessary over a long enough time frame to transform your health and become physically fit and to create habits in your life that actually stick. So number 1, and I think this will really resonate with all of the dads who have young children, you will have more energy to create great memories, both big and small. And so I talk to a lot of men and they tell me that they just don't have energy. They're constantly dragging through their days. When they get home from work, they feel completely spent. They got nothing left to give to the rest of their family when they get home. And so if you think about that on a micro, like on a daily standpoint, well, what does that mean if you have young kids? You pick them up after school or you come home after work and you're too exhausted to just be there with them, to just play with them, to just, be a fun dad who's constantly engaged, whether that's, crawling on the ground and having them jump on your back and ride you like a horse, or if that's putting them up on an airplane on your feet, or if that's going out in the yard and building a snowman. It doesn't matter what it is. It's so small, daily, just like they don't seem meaningful, but in the grand scheme of things, these are the memories that your kids are going to look back on. Well, if you don't have the energy to create those memories, will they happen? And then from a macro, the bigger opportunity, guys who don't have energy because they're not physically fit and they're not taking care of themselves, they don't seek out adventures. They don't do big things. They don't go on big family hikes or big family vacations that have fun physical memories. Maybe they go to nice resorts or something like that, but then they sit around and they don't have energy and they probably end up drinking and eating like crap and just telling their kids to go off and do whatever. When you have the energy because you are physically fit and active and eating healthy and vibrant, you're able to create great memories with your kids. And I talk to too many dads who aren't doing that right now. So that's reason number one, that it is not just for you when you decide to actually get in shape and take control of your health and fitness. Reason number two, you'll have a lot more confidence at work. You'll show up a lot differently in your career. I talk to a lot of guys who are not fit, who are not presenting themselves in the world the way that they want to. And they tell me that when they sit down and meet with a new client, or they meet with another business owner, or they meet with a potential partner who is very fit, they're intimidated. They feel self-conscious because they know that they don't look like they take care of themselves. And a lot of times guys will say, it shouldn't matter, but I know it does. Well, why does it matter? Why does it matter when you're thinking about doing business with someone and you're looking at, let's say all things being equal on paper, one guy who's super fit and another guy who is really out of shape and overweight? Well, that sends subconscious signals that every human picks up on. A guy who's in shape, who has himself together, clearly that guy, you're going to assume, if all else is equal, versus another guy who's very overweight, he's out of shape, he's disheveled, he just doesn't look like he takes care of himself. Well, I'm going to assume that this fitter guy has his shit together more. He's able to handle more in his life. He's not only as successful as the other guy on paper, but he's also in shape, which means he can just handle more and perform at a high level in many different areas. And so I'm going to assume that if I do business with that individual, it's going to be a more fruitful relationship. And this, I think, goes across the board. That's why you see fit people being promoted. That's why you see fit people making more money in sales jobs. So I think and by the way, I can't tell you how many people we talk to, how many men we talk to in the health profession, doctors, surgeons, people who are physicians, anyone in the medical field who's overweight and out of shape. And they talk about how they feel so hypocritical, right? I know my clients are looking at me and thinking, yeah, well, why would I listen to a doctor who's out of shape? And that's a really good question. And to be honest, I wouldn't, because what I want to see is, what you're talking about, because I can see you. I can tell that you take care of yourself and you know what that is actually like. So if you are not confident in your work because of your health, because of how you look, because your clothes don't fit you right, because you know that when you pop onto a Zoom call, your double chin is showing, or your man boobs or your belly are showing, that shit is serious. And there's only one way to fix it. You don't just get your confidence by pretending. You actually get it by doing the work to gain that confidence. First in your physical appearance, and next in your mindset around what you actually had to do to get there. And long term, what we've seen for many, many, many clients inside of KT is they end up getting promoted. They end up being more successful if they're business owners. They start getting more clients, making more money, being more focused, taking on bigger projects. They start feeling so much more confident. They have so much more creativity that they can pour into their work. And I can't tell you how many guys have told me that they're making 20% more, 30% more. They got promoted. Now they're making a ton more. It's across the board. So you're going to have more confidence at work. And what that means in turn, let's say you start bringing home 30% more, like my guy Mark Ambrose did when he dropped 150 pounds in our program. Well, is that just for him? Is he the only one who's going to get to have the impact of his family bringing home 30% more? Of course not. That shit's going to translate to him being able to provide for an even better life for his family. Not just because he's fitter, but also because he's bringing home more and he can build his wealth better and he can provide more opportunities that he couldn't before. Number 3, I think this one's really important. And I think this is one that probably a lot of guys aren't willing to admit, but I've talked to so many men where I know that this is the fucking truth. Number 3, the reason it's not for you is because when you get in shape, when you take control of your health, when you build a body that you feel proud of, you will love yourself. If you don't currently, because you know that you are not putting in the work to stay fit, to eat healthy, to have a body that you feel proud of, and you look in the mirror and you can't stand what you see and you just feel like, man, I'm just letting myself go. Like I promised I wouldn't do this, or like, geez, I'm just like, I can't stand looking at myself. When that type of self-talk is going on, do you really think that anybody else in your life is not feeling the impact of that feeling that you have towards your own self? Of course they are. They're absolutely feeling that. Your spouse, your kids, the people who care about you and depend on you, whether that's, employees, partners, anyone, friends, if you don't love yourself because of the fact that you are not healthy, because you are overweight and not taking care of yourself, that impacts everyone around you, not just you. So when you get in shape, when you take control of your nutrition, when you start eating healthy, when you start exercising, when you get stronger, you begin to love yourself again. And when you love yourself, everybody else gets the best version of you, because it all starts in here, in your head and in your heart. It really does. It starts inside. If you don't love yourself, then how is anybody else going to get the best version of you? And I don't know about you, but I want to do everything I can in my power to give the best version of myself, not just for me, not just to look a certain way, but because I want everyone else around me to get the best version of me. That is why it matters. Reason number 4 of why it's not just for you when you choose to get fit is you will finally be a fucking role model for your kids. God, this one hit me so hard. The guy yesterday said to me why it would be important for him to get in shape. He said, because then my sons would finally have an adult male that they could look up to see what it would look like to actually be strong and to be fit and to be healthy. And it almost freaking broke me when this guy decided that he needed to think about whether or not he was going to make the investment. Because the reality is, well, if he doesn't do it, then his sons are never going to see what that looks like, or at least they're not going to see it from him. Are they going to learn it in school? I doubt it. Are they going to learn it on social media? I mean, maybe, but not in a healthy way. Who are they going to learn it from? Who's going to teach them, not by telling them things, but by actually doing, by actually leading by example, by actually demonstrating day in and day out and week out what it looks like to consume healthy foods, to build a house full of healthy foods, to exercise consistently, to going back to reason number 1 of having more energy to create great memories. Who's going to create those great memories for them because they have the energy and the vitality to go out and do those fun things, because they're fit, because they consistently train hard, because they eat healthy and have energy? Man, if you are a man right now with kids and you know that you are overweight and out of shape and not eating healthy and not taking care of yourself, dude, get your shit together. Your kids deserve it. And that might sound harsh, but to me, I've got a 7 and a 4-year-old. And I'm not saying that I'm better than you by any means. I got all my own fucking issues. But the truth is, man, your kids are only looking at you for the model of what it looks like to be an adult. And you can either be demonstrating for them high quality, nutritious eating, consistent, hard physical activity and exercise, and a positive view of yourself, or you can demonstrate the opposite to them. And I'm going to guess that your kids are probably going to grow up and become the type of person that you demonstrate to them. So is it just for you if you get yourself really fit? Would he just be investing? Would he be taking that money from his family if he invested into a program that finally got him the results that he was unable to get on his own? Or would he in fact be investing in his kids finally having the role model that he so desperately wants to be, but he is not right now? Got to think about that one. Reason number 5, and this one is maybe a little bit more intimate, but I think it's very meaningful. You'll finally quit feeling like shit because you know that your wife is seeing you let yourself go. And that one's, I think, tough for a lot of guys. We get comfortable, right? We've been married a long time. My wife and I just celebrated our 10th anniversary. We've been together for, I think, 15 years now. You get comfortable, but that doesn't mean that your spouse doesn't want to see you aging well. Do you want to be a fine wine, or do you want to be, somebody who just continues to get older and less active and more out of shape? Your belly just keeps getting rounder. Like, honestly, be real honest about it. Like, if you quit feeling like shit about yourself and what you're doing to take care of yourself, and you started to feel more self-confident, you started to have more energy around your kids, you started to feel a lot better about yourself, don't you think that would probably impact your relationship with your wife? Don't you think that your wife would probably, or your spouse, or your partner, don't you think that they would probably be more satisfied? I do. I genuinely do. I think it's a very real reason that it's not just for you when you get fit and healthy. It impacts the people around you. It impacts your kids. It impacts your career. It impacts your relationship with your significant other. It gives you the energy to go create memories. It gives you the confidence to step into the world and present yourself in a way that you feel good about. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is absolutely no price that you can put on that. Now, why do guys stay stuck? With everything I just went through, why in the frickin' world do guys choose to stay stuck, especially the men who come into our, I'll call it a funnel for all you business people out there, who come into our funnel, who apply for our program, who watch the testimonials, who understand how our system works, who see proof that it clearly works, and then get on calls with us and tell us how badly they need these changes, but then hear the price and decide not to do it. Well, I think there are three main reasons. Number one, and this one hits at the ego hard. They think they should be able to do it on their own. This is one of the most common reasons that guys choose to stay stuck, is they think that they should be able to do it on their own. And like the easiest rebuttal to that would be like, if you could have done it on your own, wouldn't you have already done it by now? Because it's not like you haven't tried many times over and not been able to do it on your own. So what's going to change now? The truth is it's just your ego telling you that you should be able to do it on your own. And just as a story in my own life, back in 2017, when I owned Chicago Primal Gym, I had owned it for 4 years and built it up from scratch. A couple friends in my backyard to, at the time, we had just done our first year where we did about $600,000 worth of revenue. This was in our fourth full year. So it's not like we were not doing well. I mean, we had, I think, 150, 200 plus clients. It was a pretty decent business. I wasn't really making any money, if I'm being honest with you, but we came across this company called Gym Launch, which was from a guy named Alex Hormozy. Anybody who's in the entrepreneurial online space certainly has heard of Alex Hormozy. He had this company called Gym Launch, where he was promising that he was helping gym owners fill their gym in 30 days or less. And he was putting out all kinds of unbelievable claims about the amount of revenue and new clients that he was able to help gyms sign up in only 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And I shit you not, for 18 straight months, I watched Alex Hormozy advertising Gym Launch, result after result, satisfied gym owner after satisfied gym owner. And you know what I did? I consistently tried to copy what they were doing, because I said to myself, I can figure out what they're doing. I don't have to pay for their service. I can figure it out on my own. I'll just copy what they were doing and I'll be able to figure it out. And for 18 months, I tried to copy what they were doing and couldn't do it on my own. And finally, after 18 months, I remember having a conversation with one of the girls on my team named Kimberly. I said, if we don't invest in Gym Launch now, I'm just going to shut the gym down, because I had reached a point of frustration. I had plateaued for 18 months and I was so frustrated that it was just like, either we're going to do it or I'm going to freaking close the whole thing down. And so we did it. We invested in Gym Launch, which was a $16,000 investment for 4 months, which was 10 times what I had ever spent on business coaching. One of the big reasons I didn't invest is I thought I could figure it out on my own. I didn't need to spend that much. It was too expensive. Well, what happened? Well, in the next 9 months, we doubled our revenue, we tripled our profit, and we scaled our gym to 350 plus members. So in 9 months, we grew the same that we grew in 4 years. And I finally had my goal of hitting $1 million gym, and we were poised to explode that gym in the next year, and then COVID hit. That's another story. So they think they should be able to do it on their own, but in reality, what they need is a proven system, and they need to get the heck out of their own way. Number two, and I think this is probably, to me, this is like the core one. They feel like, this is number two of why men choose to stay stuck. They're afraid of failing because they know it will be hard and they know that they're going to have to change. I think that's probably the one that the most guys, if they're really being honest with themselves, that's the true one. Like guys tell us, well, I gotta, with that much money, I gotta talk to my wife about it, right? But let's be honest, what wife actually wants their husband to be miserable, to be significantly overweight and unhealthy, and in a position where he's got all the highest risk factors for all the diseases that kill men early, and has no confidence and no energy to be around the kids? No wife actually wants that. You don't need permission from your wife. You need to understand that it's going to be hard work. There's no other way around it. Yeah, you could take GLP-1s, sure, and you could get injected with a shot, and yeah, you'd probably get a lot skinnier. But this guy who I'm referencing in this, who kind of the call from yesterday made me film this video, he had done that. He had lost 40 pounds on GLP-1s, and he said he was miserable because his body didn't look any different. And he knew he didn't actually change any of the habits, and he knew he didn't want to be on synthetic hormones long term. So he got off of them and put all the weight back on. So the truth is, I believe, is that most guys, they are afraid of failing because they know that it's going to be hard work, and they know that they're going to have to give up all of these things that are crutches in their life. The shitty eating, the drinking, the staying up late and doing absolutely nothing of any value. These things that they think give them a release from the stress of work and having kids. But in reality, they're the things that are keeping them miserable and stuck and out of shape and overweight. Yes, you're probably going to have to give that shit up. But yes, you will feel so much better, and you won't want any of it once you feel how good you feel when you're fit and eating healthy and sleeping right and just genuinely making good decisions about your health. So you got to be able to admit that it's going to be hard work, but it's completely worth it. And if you're afraid of failing, then the best thing to do is not to say, oh, I'm not going to spend the money, because if I spend the money and fail, it's going to be even worse. It's to say, okay, who has a proven system, and where can I get real accountability so that I actually do the work that I know I'm afraid to do? Because it's not rocket science. If you do the work, you will get the changes. You just have to do the work. And most guys don't do the work because they have no plan and no accountability. So you have to create those things. And if you've been unsuccessful on your own at doing it, then you should pay someone to do it for you until you can do it on your own, which is exactly what investing into a system like the Kettlebell Transformation System can do for you, because it's worth it. And then the number 3 reason why guys stay stuck is because they think that the money could be better spent elsewhere. And this one really burns my biscuits. Let me be honest with you. In fact, just 20 minutes before getting onto this recording here, I read a comment from a prospect who was looking to join our program, had a sales call with someone on our team. And he said, I'm not going to invest. My wife and I agreed. I don't want to go in debt to do it. And we both agreed that I shouldn't spend money on this until I'm done maxing out my retirement income, my retirement, savings. And I thought, boy, that's the biggest load of absolute bullshit I've ever heard in my life. And here's why. Let's just be honest for a second here. What the fuck is your retirement account going to do for you if you can't even move because of how overweight and out of shape you are when you retire? What is it going to mean to retire with all that money when you have completely sacrificed your physical health and you can barely even move because you haven't done any physical activity for the last 25, 30 years? You've been carrying around 50 pounds plus of extra weight on your frame and on your joints for the last 30, 40 years of your life. What is that actually going to mean? How is any of that retirement savings going to be worth it if you don't have your health to enjoy your retirement? That's why it's there could be no better thing for your retirement than to take care of your health and fitness right now. Because then, you're going to ensure that for the next 20 years or 30 years or however long you have from today until you plan on retiring, that it's going to be years where you are super fit and keeping your joints healthy and, keeping your insulin resistance where it needs to be. All of the things that will result in you actually retiring healthy need to be done now. You can't just do them once you retire. And this particular guy had 50 plus pounds that he wanted to lose. But furthermore, it's just a complete miss of the fact that, hey, right now, today, if you're 50 pounds overweight, it is, obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but I would be willing to bet serious money that if you lose 50 pounds and get significantly fitter and stronger in the next 6-8 months, for the next 30 years of your life or however long you have until you retire, you will make significantly more money in that time. Substantially more money. Your earning potential will go through the roof from where it is, where you are today, which is 50 pounds overweight, no confidence, completely dragging ass every single day because you're carrying around all the extra weight, and because you have this cognitive dissonance of, I should be fit, but I'm not. I should be doing these things to take care of myself, but I'm not. Man, like I said, it burns my biscuits because guys are just missing the opportunity. Guys are missing the infinity ROI that getting in shape has. It impacts every area of your life in such a meaningful way. And I just want to wrap it up by genuinely throwing something out there. And you can go and look up the stats for yourself, but it is very, very clear that fit men live longer lives than men who are not fit, and they earn significantly more in their lives than men who are not fit, all other things being the same. Their earning potential goes up. I've seen stats that say as high as 15% higher, and their lifespan and their health span goes up. Lifespan being like actual total number of years that they live, and health span being total number of quality years where they're healthy. Those both increase dramatically when a guy is fit versus a guy not being fit. So let me just finish this by doing one quick exercise on a math perspective. Okay. If you're listening to this and you're a prospect, I'll tell you that men invest between $6,000 and $14,000 to join our coaching program. Results are guaranteed. So it's a pretty decent number you're going to invest when you come into our coaching program. But let me ask you this, and I have plenty of guys who are testaments to this actually being able to happen. Let's say you spend 1 year getting super fit and building a habit set that you continue with the rest of your life. We've got guys in their 30s in our program, all the way up to our oldest client is 72, running our operating system, which is kettlebell training at home and a very specific set of nutrition principles that any guy can put into play. And we've seen guys as old as 65 lose 60 plus pounds and get significantly stronger and fitter and feel like they're in their 20s again from a health and fitness standpoint. So if you spent 1 year to get those changes in your life, and then for the next however many years you have in your life, in your working life, you're now fitter, healthier, leaner, more confident. Do you think you'd earn more money? That'd be the first thing. Do you think you'd earn $12,000 more than you otherwise would earn if you were not fit? Do you think you'd have $12,000 less of healthcare costs because you're not overweight and putting yourself at risk for all these diseases? Do you think that you would live longer? I had one of our clients, his name is Stan. He dropped 35 pounds in his first 16 weeks in our program. And he sent a text to Grant and I that said, I probably added 10 years to my life in the last 16 weeks. And obviously we can't guarantee a result. Nobody can see into the future like that. But let's just say hypothetically, he did add 10 years to his life. How much money would you make in your life? How much more money would you make if you lived 10 years longer because you got yourself fit? Honestly. And he also said that he didn't want to be the grandpa that other people had to take care of. How much is that worth? Guys are just looking at it all wrong. You just can't understand how much you're leaving on the table in your life if you are not fit and you are not in a body that you feel proud of because you put in the work every day to be healthy and set the example and be your best. So anyway, I'm fired up today. For anyone out there who is, just not making the decision to take care of themselves, I hope this fired you up. And if you want help doing it, hit us up because this is what we do all day long with men. All right. Have a great day. Signing off. Coach Sean, Kettlebell Transformation Podcast. Peace.